What's up guys, Anubhav here. Welcome back to another brand new video here on the channel. Now as you guys have already read the title, today's video is going to be a beginner level tutorial on Lightroom and essentially how you can use Lightroom to enhance your photos and turn something that looks like this into something like this. Now in case you want to amp up your Instagram feed or you just want to get the hang of this software, this video is going to have you guys covered, so be sure to stick around till the end to understand essentially how I edit my photos and how you can edit yours too to make them look absolutely amazing. Now with that said, there's also a little announcement. I would love this Lightroom series to be something where I edit your photos and we could do something together and it would boost engagement a lot with the viewers that are watching right now. So there's going to be an email address in the description below. You can send me your pictures over there, and who knows, maybe we'll turn this into a weekly series where I sit every week with a bunch of photos that you guys send me and tell you guys how I would edit them and essentially send you guys back the edited photos so you can see what is what. Now the email address will be linked in the description below, and I would genuinely enjoy it if the photos were not exactly selfies. Make sure it's photography related or anything but selfies. But with that out of the way, make sure you guys drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Without any further ado, let's jump right into the tutorial. Alright guys, so today we are going to be working with this image, which is also the same picture that has been edited in the thumbnail of this video. It was very creatively captured by a friend of mine and not me, so just wanted to put that out before we get started. But she was kind enough and she wanted me to use this for today's tutorial, so we're sticking with this. And the first thing that you want to do is obviously import the photo into Lightroom. Now this is going to be the settings tab that you guys see over here, and we are going to go over each and every setting with patience, with time, to essentially make you guys understand what everything does, so that the next time you edit a photo, no matter what kind of a picture it is, you figure out how to edit it. Alright, so the first section that you guys see here is the light section, and over here you can essentially adjust the components of the light of the photo. So everything from the exposure and the contrast and the highlights and the shadows, the whites and the blacks can be done here. So usually everything that you do depends upon the actual photo. This is a raw file and I think it lacks a little bit of contrast, so I'm just gonna push a little bit of contrast here. I think the exposure is actually all right, so I don't have to do anything there. As far as the highlights are concerned, I want the mountain range over here to be a little bit more visible overall, so I'm just gonna push them down a little bit. And as far as the shadows are concerned, these trees over here are extremely dark, so I'm just gonna boost the shadows a little bit so that we can see a lot of what is in the frame, even though it's not entirely visible when you actually click it. The whites are something that will control the brightness of the brightest areas of the screen. You can give it a little bit of boost to make the sky look good, since it's not overexposing everything right now, so I think it's a good look. The blacks are essentially again the opposite thing that the whites will do. However, I don't want to touch it here because the photo looks pretty damn good all the way. Now next up we've got the tone curve, and over here you can work in your exposure. You can select the RGB curves for the separate colors, or you can just select the normal curve over here. Now I'm just gonna put a little bit of shadows, so these are the shadows. Then you've got your midtones and your highlights. I'm just gonna put in a little bit of contrast over here. A slight S curve always seems to does it for me. In case you don't want to reset the settings that you want to do, all you have to do is double click on the points that you add and essentially you'll be good to go. Now with that we come to the color section, and over here we've got your basic temperature, which essentially determines how warm or how cool a photo is. Now I'm gonna push it a little bit towards the yellow since I'm trying to go for that look, so that's what we're gonna be doing. You can again double click on anything to make sure what it looked like before. As I've said in previous Lightroom tutorials of mine, I love pushing the vibrance back a bit and then increasing the saturation. It gives it this different look that it doesn't really understand. You're pushing back the saturation and then you're pushing back the vibrance, which essentially changes the vibrance of the colors, so to speak. Now with that that, you've got the color mixer. Now we're going to come back to this because this is the last part that I usually like to touch. Then what we're going to do is go to the texture again, reduce the texture a little bit and increase the clarity. A lot of people seem to think that 100 clarity makes your pictures look good, but in honesty they just make your pictures look extremely amateur. So make sure to avoid that. We're just going to put a little bit of clarity, and then dehazing is something that you again can do, and this is essentially going to make sure that the simulated haze is reduced once you increase it, and it reduces it if you put it to the right. So what we're going to do is increase a little bit of the simulated haze, so you know the far away areas of the photos are a little bit more visible. You can also add a little bit of vignetting by moving it to the left side. This essentially is gonna draw attention to the main subject of your photo. Please make sure that you don't go overboard with any of these settings, because things don't really look good when you have them at 100%. So with that said, you can quickly preview your before and after, and once we're done with the basic settings, which is essentially this, let's move on to the color mixer. Now the color mixer is going to be your HSL tab, and essentially over here you can configure the hue and the saturation and the luminance of every single color in your frame. This is where you dial in the look that you want, whether it is a teal and orange look or a film look or a grainy look or essentially a moody look. Now over here we're going to color and change the colors of every single part starting from the reds. So again, you can move them to the left to make it look more orangey, or to the right to make it look more purplish and magenta. Now I'm just gonna hit up and take it a little bit to the right to make it look a little more orangey and reddish. You can increase the saturation here. Now with the same sense of mind, you want to configure all the different parts of the photos to make sure what you essentially want them to look like, and you have to essentially configure all of them to make sure all the different parts look the way you want them to look. Now for example, you can see we've come to the yellows, and if I move them to the left hand side, my trees essentially get more of a brown color, and if I move them to the right hand side, they get more of a greenish color. So this is something that you have to decide. I would like to go for a more browner look in this photo. Again, don't go -100 because that's a bit much. And by configuring all of these things, like you can see I'm doing here, you can essentially start dialing in the look that you want. Now again, we come to the blues and the teals, and essentially it's going to configure the skies and whatever we have in the frame. So if you shift it to a little bit towards the left, it's going to get more tealer. If you shift it to the blue, it's going to get more bluish in nature or purpler. So we're going to shift it a little bit to the teal side, increase the saturation. The same can be done with the main blue tool. That's going to depend on what kind of look you're going for. You can make the sky purple if you want to, or you can make it extremely teal if you want to. I'm just going to go with a little bit of teal, so -6 looks good. A little bit of saturation or a little bit of less saturation in case you guys want to make it look moody. But for this photo, we're going to just go to +10 in saturation, and voila, the next things are absolutely done. And this is the finished photo that is on the thumbnail. So you started with something that looked like this, then you went to something that looks like this without using any presets, by understanding what the tools do. Now there are a lot of other tools called the crop and rotate, the healing brush, adding different sort of gradients, but we're going to touch on those in future episodes, and this is sort of a beginner's tool, so I don't want to overburden you guys. Now once you're done, and this is important, once you're done, the great way to export a photo is make sure that you go right click on it, hit on export, and once you hit on export, make sure you go to more options and make sure that your quality is set to 100%. You can select the file size, and you can again custom name them. So I can just name this Lightroom, and it will be saved on my desktop, and then you just hit on export, and you have the highest quality photo exported to your desktop. Now that's how simple it is, that's how easy it is. Hope you guys could learn something from this tutorial, and yeah, that is pretty much it. Alright guys, that wraps up the end for today's Lightroom tutorial episode. Maybe the next episode that we do, we'll focus on using Lightroom Mobile to do the same kind of edits, because they're pretty synonymous and we can do the same things on either the phone version or on the desktop version. Now let me know if you guys want a preset for the particular look that we went today. I'd be more than happy to feature it in the future episode of this exact series. Don't forget to send me either RAW or JPEGs of your images that we can edit in the next episode. With that said, this is Anubhav signing out. Hope you guys are having a safe quarantine, and yeah, I'll catch you guys next time. Until then, you guys have a great day. Peace out.